Hi, this is Johnny Mike Grevlin coming to you from Chicago, as usual. And today we're going to do another visit to Ernie Tertelgte. He's one of the first characters I came across, and we're going to go back to see him in a little something we're going to call Ernie Tertelgte, Sovereign Citizen, from the secret headquarters of the Sovereign Citizen Patrol, initiating video production sequence. We are no longer playing. So let's get revved up. It's time for Law Talk with Mike.
All right, well, we're here with Ernie, the Montana living man, and Ernie's had quite a go at things recently, and we're here to update you on things. He's now officially out of jail, and so Ernie, tell us what happened.
All as usual, what happened. All those folks who would stand up for the Constitution and country end up being put down in some form or another. That's pretty much what happened. I had utilized elements of the Constitution, and
I love it. Utilized elements of the Constitution. It's good to see Ernie again. I wanted to check in with him and see where he's at. And honestly, I did a playlist for him. He's earned it. In the comments of a prior video, it was suggested that he's passed away. I hope that's not true, but if it is, if anyone knows, please put it in the comments below so I'm updated. But this video seems to be around 2018. He's making reference to a hearing date in 2018. So it's a while ago, but not that long ago.
much research regarding statute and code versus actual law. And in the past, there's so much I've done that hardly anybody knows about. I had already established a precedent-setting case on the 23rd of March in Gallatin County, DPO 8-59A, in Federal Judge Holly Brown's court, that evidenced how it is I'm not in the federal jurisdiction. Based on the driver's license and such things, the evidence on the books is that those kind of licenses are for federal citizens. If you're not a federal citizen.
He keeps saying this, but he doesn't have a published opinion. I mean, if there's a citation to it, he gives a case number, but that doesn't mean anything. And to really have precedential value, it's usually going to be an appellate court. But okay, carry on, Ernie.
Which is clearly laid out in the UCC. It requires one of three ways. You either have to be naturalized, in which immigration is involved, or you have to contract to join the military, or you contract to run and hold public office. If none of that is you, then according to Title 18, Section 22, you're not a federal citizen. If you're not a federal citizen, you're not in commerce. If you're not in commerce, licenses are non-requirable of you. Based on all this, I had been running around the country just being me, living my life, and doing it without the driver's license. Mind you, I sent in a 13-page challenge.
In short, I keep losing and breaking the law.
Based on all this to our state attorney general, Tim Fox, and the state governor, Steve Bullock, would be 2 years ago this March, just past March, and I've never heard a word back.
That's shocking. They never got back to you on that craziness, huh?
No matter how I pushed, I've never heard a word back. Anytime you require an answer of somebody and the answer comes back in silence, that's called tacit admission.
No, that's called they didn't know you an answer and they didn't think it was worth responding to.
Meaning that essentially they consent to whatever charge might be framed within your question. As you're wanting to know something, and if they don't tell you the answer, then you're going to have to make a charge of some kind that either they're incompetent and don't know how to answer, don't know what the answer is, or perhaps they're expressing criminal reservation, criminal mentere, as it's called in Black's Fifth Law Dictionary.
Or perhaps they didn't owe you an answer and they're not going to respond.
And are very hesitant to actually address the challenge you've brought to them, which I've done repeatedly, several different locations. All that being said, this again was part of the issue on 22nd of March, series of steps related to a series of arrests, in which I was charged with driving with a suspended license. Driving is a commercial term. There's over 3,000 settled court cases on this. It's a federalized term for commerce. Once again, if you're not involved in commerce, driving is a word that's a commercial term. and it requires interstate commerce, the passage over state lines.
And don't forget to hit like and subscribe, or the dogs get it.
Of someone who is bearing persons, goods, chattels, cargoes, things for the purpose of gaining revenue. Okay? It's a commercial term. I'm not in that, and I don't cross interstate lines. I have no need to, really, so I just live around here. And B, I know that the driver's license thing is not about your ability to drive. It has no bearing on your comprehensive ability to handle a motor vehicle.
Yeah, it does. You have to have a driver's test to demonstrate your ability to drive a vehicle and know the rules of the road. I don't get where you just make this assertion.
The driver's license, as it is per se, is there to swing you into a jurisdiction. If the jurisdiction that it swings you into is the wrong jurisdiction, then you have to be brought into the jurisdiction as property.
I just love this stuff. As they go, they just start making up terms. There's no concept of being swung into a jurisdiction. You have jurisdiction by virtue of being in the place. So if you're in a state, you're subject to their traffic laws. That's it. There's no swinging into it. There's no contract. There's no nothing.
Property. If if you're just an American and a state citizen, and you're not involved in commerce, then the jurisdiction that pertains to you is called common law equity. It's equity court, in which only that which is just, fair, and right is done. In other words, that which is just, fair, and right, if you're not involved in commerce, then it's...
I don't understand this. It must come from somewhere, and I've been doing all these videos for a while now. I'm going back to Ernie because he's one of the first characters I came across, and it's fun to see. But I don't get where they have justification for it. I mean, they're wrong, but I don't even get where they got confused and thought this was a thing. I don't understand it.
Just, fair, and right that a commercial license not be required of you. All right, so these...
I've heard this just, fair, and right stuff before. That's what's sort of making me think of it. It's cute. It's sort of this fantasy. It's like, no, law isn't right. What I want the law to be is right. But based on what? Just, you know, they say things that seem semi-plausible. They're just not law. There's no authority for these propositions.
These are parts of what causes me to be in constant conflict here. And, of course, the maxim is that whenever there's a conflict between law and equity, equity always prevails. Equity is stronger than any other form of law. It's a common law, and in Article 6 of the 1789 Constitution, it is identified as the supreme law of the land. Another hidden fact that's in there, an allegation is made that I had refused to pay fines relevant to the driver's license issue. I want to clear that up. That absolutely is an untruth. I hold the evidence, absolutely, that those tickets that were written to the tune of $285, I properly signed them according to the UCC and released those tickets back to Stormy Langston, the local municipal administrator, who is holding that ticket, refusing to let it go into the stream of commerce. Now, that in itself is a crime. To withhold a signed document that has to do with a navigable bond, to hold it after it's been properly signed, and then to accuse...
Wait. What's a navigable bond withholding a ticket from the stream of commerce? It's a crime? I mean, what? What? I've seen a lot of laws. I just don't even know what he's talking about.
The signer, that he never signed it, is a crime within itself, and it bespeaks double-minded incompetency is about the only way I can say it. You don't comprehend contract law, you got no business being a municipal administrator or holding any other position of office, especially when it's in public service. So there's glaring errors through this entire mess. I have tried repeatedly to get this driven to fair trial. I have prevailed at one trial. Was on the 27th of May of 2014 in Gallatin County. I prevailed there and evidenced that I'm not a federal citizen by identifying what the federal citizen is, who is the slave. I identified to the jury that I'm not the slave, I'm the living man, separated myself from that corporate slave in the eyes of the jury, did it all in about 18 minutes, took the jury 6.5 hours to deliberate, figure out everything I said, and then I won a not guilty ruling. And
that's interesting. I would like to see if there's an order on this. I've never seen that. He's claiming he won a jury trial there, and that's even plausible. I could imagine him getting up there. These are always small matters. Having a jury just sort of doing jury nullification, just feeling sorry for him, and coming back with a verdict of not guilty. I could imagine that. I don't know what really happened. It's interesting. If anybody sees that, send it to me.
And so on. I've worked hard and I've done a lot of things. The 1789 Constitution, for some kind of a breach, a semantical backdoor, a breach into it to use, wherein they could gain the appearance of constitutional validity while in fact working at bringing the law of the sea maritime into all the courts and across all the land as if that maritime jurisdiction is supreme over the supreme law, Article 6 of the land. There's only room for one supreme. It's already been written. It's priorly established. It's in Article 6. I drew great attention to this, great attention to the standard that was flying in the courtroom that day. I brought my own standard of the land. This was actually the 2nd of April, 1864. It was introduced by Benjamin Harrison at the order of Abraham Lincoln, and it is known as Peace Upon the Land Standard. It is the right standard for common law equity. I had it with me. I identified what it is. I identified the court's flag as the maritime. I did it 3 times. And you will notice that not one time did the prosecutor nor the administrator object or rebut or even question what I had to say.
Yeah, there's no response required. They want to get through their day. They just let it go because it was irrelevant.
No, there was no flare-up until they began to realize that I had already taken command of their ship, had swung the ship about, was re-navigating it, and using 19 potential jurors in the pool to do it with, and was going to run away with the entire thing again, as I did in Gallatin County, because what I have to say is so. It holds water. And they knew that they couldn't overcome me. The prosecutor put it into print in a packet of discovery. And unless the municipal administrator erased everything that I'd filed in from the record, that it would be impossible to overcome me. That's because what I filed in is not my opinion. It's everything that's on their books. I just introduced them to what's already been written from their jurisdiction and why it's not my jurisdiction. I'm not to be dragged into it. Furthermore, I backed it with Roman treaty law, which is Hague International Law, which says that is exactly what is done as the United States, which is a London banking cabal, overthrew, via the course of the Civil War, the country called America, introducing the end of that overthrow in 1871, the corporate phoenix arising in that year, showing forth its own charter for trade and commerce, dealing with the enemies, the Trading with the Enemies Act. It's very deep. I'm trying to bring it all to a head. I need to be heard all the way through a trial. I would love to be contacted by a brave and honorable attorney who is constitutional and is not one of a turned mind, but who can see these truths, comprehend them, speak them clearly and straightly, and bring this.
Yeah, I'll talk to you, Ernie. If you're still around, contact me. And what I'm going to tell you to do is take a plea deal because you're guilty of sin on these minor violations. And everything you're saying is nonsense.
On fire issue, straight to the Supreme Court of the United States, who are the ones that are supposed to give answer to this, and it will be noted that since the year of 1851 they have flat refused to give answer for what they have done. At this point, I have no choice left to believe but that the Supreme Court of the United States also is utterly criminal in their intent, as they are found to be contrary to Article 6, meaning they too have no standing. At this point, it looks to me like they're just going to sell me down the river for the next 20 years, maybe a mental institution or federal penitentiary, one or the other, when in fact I've done no wrong and have done nothing more than stand for my country, our Constitution, and the truths that are on the books. None of this did I write. I simply can see it, I can find it, I can link it, and I'm exposing it. And of course, that's what they fear and hate more than anything. In my best interest, because my sole desire and my higher vision is to serve the people. I can see that it's time for me to diverge from this path, and in doing that, I'm going to go ahead and begin to relicense the straw man. I will separate him from me by 3 degrees via...
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. We're going to relicense the straw man and separate him by 3 degrees. Okay.
the correction of status program, and as best I can, I will navigate upon the land and be of good service to my fellow Americans, all while maintaining my principles, my constitutional platform, and my positive alignment with our country's founding document and positive law. And that's where I'm at right now.
How long were you actually in jail for?
A short 43 days. I did 3 sentences back to back. Contempt of court, 5 days. Assault, 23 days. And driving on a suspended license, 15 days. So it was 13, 14, and 15, and I broke my great-granddad's record. He was arrested 14 times in Albany, New York, 1672. I've just come through number 15.
So what's the next day in court going to be?
At this point, I tried to call my attorney that I'm utilizing, the public defender, Liam Gallagher, this afternoon. I could only leave a message and I never did hear back, so this will be my record for what it's worth that I followed through in fact. We need to establish we need to go over the court's latest preferment to contract. They're hoping that I will plead guilty to a misdemeanor of resisting arrest in exchange for all the felonious crap to be dropped that they dreamed up against me. They've tried.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. I mean, I don't know the underlying merits, but they're asking you to plead to a minor charge, and no one's out to get you. They just want you to admit it and stop. That's everyone would be happy with that.
To charge me with assault with a weapon, and unless you call the Constitution of 1789 a weapon, there was no weapon in the courtroom of any kind that day, at least not in my physical possession. I had nothing but me and my Constitution. That's all. So, so far it would seem that June 4th coming up would be the next court action. That is alleged to be an omnibus hearing of some kind to see if I'm going to go for the plea bargain, which again grants him jurisdiction, but here I would remind the viewer, you cannot grant them what they stole in 1861 to 65. They flat stole it. They took it by force, military and martial. It's not about granting them jurisdiction. They took it, and it's carte blanche all across the land, coast to coast, sea to sea.
Oh, no. Ernie. First we go from ominous bus. It's an omnibus, and now it's carte blanche. Oh, he's charming, but stop using words you don't understand, brother.
I already did it. You can't grant them what they took 144 years ago. We'll see if this advances on June 4th, whether we go to plea bargain and I try to go ahead and put this down quick, or do I press it to federal trial on 4 of September 2018. Thus far, my instincts are warning me that the federal jury will be absolutely biased and handpicked for sabotaging your country's constitution and everything that's on the books, and I will not be able to win it because they will be...
Well, yeah, you're wrong about the first part, but yeah, you're right about the second part. It's a loser for you. And no one needs to sabotage anything for that to be a loser for you. You're just guilty of what you're charged with. That's all.
Be predisposed to bias, and it will be a shut case before it even gets opened. So I have to weigh it out and see what happens.
All right, anything else you want to add?
Keep the faith, keep your powder dry, keep yourself in line with positive law, never live in fear. Always look for the higher good in everything, keep your eye on the higher road, and be a good servant to your fellow man. Bless the land, treat each other honorably with respect, put some value to your name.
Alrighty.
And I need my tri-horn back. I dug out my next best fancy hat, and it's the last one I got.
Well, there you have it. That was pretty fun. He definitely filled any bingo card you have for sovereign citizens. I cut a lot of it out because it's long. But he covers every conceivable bad sovereign citizen idea you can think of in that video. I'll put a link to the original in the description below, so you can see the whole thing if you want to. I just didn't want the video to get that long. Well, as you can see here, I've got my fancy Sovereign Citizen Patrol t-shirt on. It's pretty cool. I got another one here. They all say Law Talk with Mike on the back. And ladies, I didn't forget about you. Here's the Sovereign Citizen Patrol shirt in pink. Law Talk with Mike on the back. And if you're bold enough to take a picture of yourself in one of these and send it to me, you can join the Sovereign Citizen Patrol and hang out with Ollie.